Hi, and welcome back to Reflect Forward. I'm your host, Kerry Siggins, and I'm so glad you are here today. Today, I want to talk about how trust is the superpower every leader needs. As we know, trust is crucial in leadership. It really holds teams together. It builds strong relationships. It drives performance and growth. It drives engagement. And so, in this week's episode, that's what we talk about. I explore why trust is such an essential leadership trait. I share some stories and some stats on how trust impacts business success, and I'll explore 3 ways to harness trust as a superpower: trusting yourself, trusting others, and being trustworthy. So I'm often asked about my book, The Ownership Mindset, and how do you create ownership thinking within your organization? And I always say it starts with trust. If you do not trust your team, and if your team doesn't trust you as a leader, no one is going to own it. People are not going to engage in their work. They're not going to have the courage to raise their hand and speak up. You won't delegate if you don't trust your employees, and a lack of trust just generally impacts morale negatively. So, trust is really important. And in fact, it does really drive business growth. A survey done by PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, found that 55% of business leaders see a lack of trust as a major threat to their company's growth. So, that's really important. If you want to grow your team, if you want to grow your business, if you want to hit your goals, you have to have trust. It's the foundation of everything. So let's talk about the 3 pillars of trust and why this is such a superpower. And really, you need all 3 of these as a leader. The first one is you need to trust yourself. You cannot be a trusted leader unless you believe in yourself, unless you trust yourself. Trusting yourself means that you have confidence in your abilities, your decisions, and your judgments. It's about being genuine and knowing your strengths and weaknesses. And it's about sticking to your values. When you trust yourself, you come across as confident and dependable, which helps others feel safer in taking risks and innovating. In an episode a couple of weeks ago, I discussed why you need to stop saying sorry so much. And I think this really dovetails into it. If you haven't listened to the episode, go back and listen to it because it got really great feedback. And I think it's something that we all do. We tend to over apologize. And a big reason why we tend to over apologize is that we lack the confidence in ourselves, which means that we don't trust ourselves. And when we over apologize and we over explain, it comes across that way to others that we are just not a confident leader. So trusting yourself is really important, not just for how you perceive yourself, but for how you perceive others. Self-trust is also the foundation of resilience. In fact, it's paramount for resilience. I consider myself to be a really resilient person. I've definitely bounced back, in fact, even bounced forward from really, really tough things in my life, mostly self-induced, but that's okay. That's what resilience is. If you're going to be an effective leader, especially at the C-suite, you've got to be resilient. And the only way that you can actually bounce back and bounce forward from adversity is trusting yourself. Leaders who believe in their instincts and their capabilities better handle uncertainty and make tough decisions. I saw this in COVID when we had to make really tough calls. I think so many leaders did. So many people did not know what to do. But those leaders who trusted themselves knew that they had to make decisions that they didn't know what the outcomes were going to be. And I was in this situation. We had to lay some people off. We had to make significant cuts. My goal was to just make sure that the company survived. We would figure out what 2021 was going to look like afterwards. And even though I certainly had doubts, I trusted myself. I said, I know I can get through this. And even if I make the wrong decision, even if my predictions about how this is going to turn out are wrong, which at least some of them were, that's okay. We're going to get through it. I'm going to make the very best decision with the information that I have right now. And I'm going to trust that I can get through anything, that I can lead us through anything. That is how you handle uncertainty. And that's how you handle making tough decisions. Leaders who also trust themselves inspire that confidence in their teams. It really does create a culture of empowerment and accountability. I know that because I lead with trust and trusting myself and saying, you know what, we're going to be okay, even if we make a mistake or our decision doesn't result in the outcome that we were thinking. We are an incredibly resilient and strong organization. My team believes that too. They've witnessed it. And so your self-trust is also contagious in a good way. It absolutely makes people say, okay, we can get through anything. So remember, trusting yourself isn't about personal growth. It really is about setting the tone for the rest of the organization. The second one is trusting others. Trusting yourself is important, But equally as important is trusting others. When you trust others, it means you are not fearful of delegating tasks, that you are good with empowering your team members and believing in their potentials. Trusting others means that you give them the freedom to make decisions and learn from their mistakes, because let's face it, that's how we all learn. We learn from things not going well, from screwing up. And so you've got to trust others, and trusting others isn't about trusting that they're going to do things perfectly and not make mistakes. It's trusting that even when things go wrong, they're going to be able to figure it out because they can learn from those mistakes. Trusting in others is also a powerful way to show that you have faith in your team's abilities, which builds mutual respect and loyalty. I really work hard with my team here at Stone Age to show them how much I trust their decision-making skills. Like, I just trust you to make this decision. You do not need to run this by me. Or if you want to just gut check something, that's fine, but I trust you. Trust yourself to make these calls. Just recently, I was working with one of my team members on a really big project, and she was nervous about making the wrong decision. And I said, "You are great at your job. So why don't you just think about what you think the best decision is overnight and then make that decision tomorrow, and then come in here and tell me how that felt and what the outcome was by making that decision. You don't have to make it in here right now. Just tell me how you want to handle it." And she did. She went home that night. She thought about it. She made the decision and she rolled it out, and she came back and told me how well it went and how that helped her build her confidence. And she said, "Thank you for having faith in me in making this decision." And I was like, that's the only way to learn how to make decisions, is to make them. And the only way to figure out if it wasn't the right decision or a decision that didn't get the outcome that you wanted is to make those decisions. So it really does build that respect and that loyalty, and it helps you develop your people when you trust others. And like in trusting yourself, it has a positive chain reaction. Employees who feel trusted are more engaged, more motivated, and more committed to their work. In fact, a Gallup study found that employees who feel trusted by their leaders are 14 times more likely to be engaged. And that's what we all want. We know there's horrible statistics about disengagement or active disengagement. We need employees who are showing up every day, giving their best because they feel motivated. And the only way that they feel motivated is if they know that their leader trusts them. This high level engagement absolutely translates into better productivity, more innovation, and overall success. So trusting others not only boosts team performance, but it also fosters that trust throughout the organization. So give trust away. I understand that it might be hard. And yes, people do need to earn it, but don't withhold your trust. It really does reduce morale and decreases in engagement, and it makes people not want to show up and do the work that's in front of them. The third thing is you've got to be trustworthy. To make trust a superpower, you have to be trustworthy yourself. This means being consistent, reliable, transparent. It means you keep your promises. It means that you are always honest in the face of challenges and that you admit your mistakes. It means that you always act with integrity. Trustworthy leaders can be counted on to do what they say and say what they mean. This is so important. So if you are not keeping your commitments, you're not trustworthy. If you cover up mistakes or you hide challenges from your team, then you are not trustworthy. Being trustworthy also is key to credibility and influence. So I just was having a conversation with my son who was telling me about a friend of his who was cheating in golf. And he told me, I knew that he didn't actually have a lower score. And so all of a sudden I wanted to cheat too. And we had a huge conversation about character, because being honest, being trustworthy is absolutely about character. I shared with him, having character means that you are always honest. If you are honest, then you are trustworthy. If people think that you're going to cheat, then they don't trust you. And if they don't trust you, then you have no credibility. And you aren't actually winning. So that's great. You say you won, but you know deep down inside that you didn't actually win. And so why would you want to take credit for that? That is not being a trustworthy person. That is not living with character. Trustworthy leaders inspire their teams to be trustworthy, having that ripple effect. Just like untrustworthy leaders or teammates also inspire others to be untrustworthy. It matters how you show up. You set the tone as a leader. Be trustworthy. So those are the reasons why trust is a superpower. Trust is more than just an essential trait for leaders. It is absolutely a superpower that can transform your organization. I know that because our organization here at Stone Age is absolutely built on trust. It's built on open collaboration, open communication. We're an open book company. I trust my employees to act like adults, to honor the responsibility that they have for our strategy and our customers and for our financial performance. And when you trust yourself and you trust others and you focus on being trustworthy, you can create that environment of mutual respect and collaboration and high performance. And as business leaders, it's really crucial for you to develop this superpower so that you can drive personal and organizational success. All right. I hope that you enjoyed that. Again, remember the 3 pillars of trust as a superpower is trusting yourself, trusting others, and be trustworthy. Focus on all 3 of those, and I promise you that you will achieve more success, and your employees, your team, your teammates will enjoy working with you immensely. With that, I will leave you to your day. I hope you have a great one. If you like this podcast, please share it with a friend, write a review, subscribe to it on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube. And I'll see you next week. Take care.